October 14th, 1943, 27,000 feet above Schweinfurt, Germany. The sky is painfully blue. Inside a vibrating aluminum fuselage, Second Lieutenant Robert Rosenthal grips the controls of his Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, sweat freezing under his oxygen mask. Outside the cockpit glass, a formation of bombers stretches across the horizon like a floating city of steel. Engines roar. Frost creeps along the windows. The temperature is nearly -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and ahead, black clouds are rising. Not weather, flak. German anti-aircraft guns have already found the formation. Massive bursts of black smoke explode in the air, each one capable of shredding an aircraft like paper. A bomb group radio crackles. Flak. Heavy. Dead ahead. The formation doesn't turn. It can't. Hundreds of miles behind them lies England. Beneath them lies the heart of Germany's ball-bearing industry, the factories that keep Hitler's war machine alive. And somewhere below, German fighters are already climbing. Rosenthal glances left. A bomber in the formation suddenly erupts in flame. No parachutes, just falling metal. The sky is about to become a slaughterhouse. But only 2 years earlier, many German commanders had laughed at aircraft like these. They called them baby bombers. Fragile, slow, easy prey. They were wrong. Dead wrong. But to understand how these planes became the most feared machines in the sky, you have to go back to the beginning. Back to a time when America's bomber force looked more like a fragile October 14th, 1943. 9:40 a.m. Still, 27,000 feet above Schweinfurt, Germany. Inside the cockpit of the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, Second Lieutenant Robert Rosenthal feels the aircraft shudder as flak bursts rip through the formation. A sharp metallic crack echoes behind him. Shrapnel tears through the bomber's aluminum skin like a knife through paper. Instruments flicker, oxygen lines hiss. Over the intercom, a gunner's voice explodes in panic. "Fighters! 12 o'clock! Head on!" Rosenthal barely has time to react. The German fighters are already there. 4 Messerschmitt Bf 109s streak toward the formation at terrifying speed, noses flashing with cannon fire. Their 2 0mm shells slam into the bombers like hammer blows. A bomber ahead of Rosenthal's aircraft suddenly erupts. Flame pours from its wing. The plane begins to roll. Then, it simply breaks apart. Debris scatters across the sky. For a moment, the entire formation wobbles, but no one turns away. They can't. Bombers flying in formation have only one defense: staying together. Break formation and you become easy prey. Stay tight, and maybe the machine guns will keep you alive. The American formation over Schweinfurt that morning is massive. Nearly 300 bombers from the United States Army Air Forces. Their target: the ball-bearing factories of SKF, essential to Germany's tanks, trucks, and aircraft engines. Destroy these factories, and Hitler's war machine begins to choke. That December 1943, RAF Bodney Airfield, Norfolk, England. The morning fog clings low to the frozen runway. Ground crews stand beside a line of sleek, unfamiliar fighters. Their shapes are different from the rugged interceptors that have been defending the bombers for months. Longer nose, laminar flow wings, and beneath those wings, drop tanks. A mechanic pats the side of one aircraft and mutters quietly, "Let's see if you can make it all the way." The aircraft's name is painted beneath the cockpit canopy. North American P-51 Mustang, and if the engineers are right, everything in the air war over Europe is about to change. Until now, the bombers of the United States Army Air Forces have fought largely alone. Fighters like the rugged Republic P-47 Thunderbolt and the nimble Supermarine Spitfire could escort the bombers part of the way. But fuel limitations forced them to turn back long before the bombers reached deep into Germany. That left the bomber formations exposed during the most dangerous portion of the mission, and the Luftwaffe knew it. German fighters simply waited. They would allow the escorts to peel away, then attack the bombers when they were alone. It was a deadly pattern, and the disaster over Schweinfurt proved it. If daylight bombing was going to survive, something had to change. Enter the North American P-51 Mustang. Originally designed quickly for the British early in the war, the Mustang was already a fast and agile aircraft. But it wasn't until engineer February 20th, 1944. Dawn over East Anglia, England. The ground trembles. Hundreds of engines roar to life across airfields scattered through the English countryside. Runways disappear beneath clouds of exhaust and swirling prop wash. Crew chiefs yank away wheel chocks. Green signal flares fire into the gray sky. And then, one after another, the bombers begin to move. Massive Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress and consolidated B-24 Liberator aircraft roll down icy runways, their engines screaming as they claw into the cold morning air. From the ground, it looks endless. A metal river flowing into the sky. This is not just another mission. This is Big Week, and the goal is brutally simple. Destroy the Luftwaffe. For years, German fighters had been the shield protecting the Reich. They intercepted bombers, shot them down, forced the Allies to pay a terrible price for every factory they destroyed. But now, Allied commanders had realized something important. The key to winning the air war was not just bombing factories. It was forcing the Luftwaffe into battle again and again until it simply ran out of pilots. And that meant something bold. Attack Germany's aircraft factories themselves, force the Luftwaffe to defend them, then destroy the defenders. The scale of the operation is staggering. More than 3,000 bombers and thousands of escort fighters will participate over 6 relentless days. Targets include Germany's most important aircraft manufacturing centers. March 6th, 1944, 8:30 a.m. High above the North Sea. The horizon is alive with aircraft. From every direction, bombers climb into formation. Massive Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress and consolidated B-24 Liberator bombers, assembling into tight combat boxes. Hundreds of them, then more. Soon the sky becomes crowded with aluminum wings reflecting the morning sun. Engines roar in a constant thunder that vibrates through the air. A young waist gunner presses his face against the window. He can barely believe what he's seeing. Bombers stretch across the sky for miles. Above them, weaving through the formation like guardians, fly squadrons of North American P-51 Mustang and Republic P-47 Thunderbolt fighters. This is no small raid. This is a message. And the destination is the most heavily defended city in the Reich, Berlin. For years, Adolf Hitler had insisted something impossible. He promised that enemy bombers would never reach Germany's capital in daylight. Propaganda broadcasts repeated it constantly. Berlin was protected, untouchable. But the reality was already beginning to unravel. The relentless attacks during Big Week had weakened the Luftwaffe badly. Factories were damaged. Pilots were lost. Fuel shortages were growing worse. And yet, they still had to defend Berlin. As the American bomber formations cross the German border, radar stations detect them immediately. Alarms echo across airfields. Pilots sprint toward waiting fighters.